It's not about what will happen tomorrow or sometime next week. It's about what's unfolding in this exact moment as you read these words. A seismic shift is occurring in the spiritual currents right now, one that is directly connected to a desire you've held close to your heart for what feels like an eternity. This is the thing that has often felt utterly impossible, distant, perhaps even a lost cause you tried to rationalize away. But the divine declaration is clear. What was bound is being released. What was closed is opening up. The person you carry in your deepest thoughts can no longer contain the truth of their feelings because the force holding it back has been overridden. It is no accident that you paused here. This is not random content in an endless scroll. If your heart is beating a little faster, if these words resonate with a deep, almost painful familiarity, it's because a greater force is acknowledging the exact chapter you're living in, the moment of the final decisive breakthrough. The very last barrier that stood between you two is not just weakening. It's actively beginning to fracture. And what follows this final break is not just a gentle shift, but something powerful, inevitable, and impossible to halt. Stay with me until the very end, because the insight you're about to receive will fundamentally alter how you perceive this entire ongoing situation. You know precisely what I'm talking about, don't you? It's that familiar heavy weight right in the center of your chest, that profound sense of an undeniable truth that's struggling to escape, yet seems trapped with no viable path. This individual remains a daily presence in your life, not as a vague, receding memory, but as a living, breathing reality. It's as if, regardless of the physical space separating you, they continue to occupy a unique and irreplaceable space within your soul. And the most excruciating part isn't even the intensity of the feeling itself. The true difficulty lies in the relentless doubt that immediately follows that feeling. It's that cruel, insidious voice that whispers with conviction, "You're grasping at straws." They've genuinely moved forward. You are the only one foolishly clinging to this outdated narrative. You try, sincerely, to convince yourself that this internal critic might be right. You wrestle with the necessity of accepting that your shared chapter is truly over, that there's no realistic chance of return, and that it is finally time to definitively close the book and move on. But then, just as you manage to gather enough strength to almost believe in this finality, the universe sends a sign. It could be a dream so vivid and real that you wake up disoriented, the emotional residue lingering for hours. It could be an old song playing on the radio at the very instant their memory surfaces. Or it might be the sudden, inexplicable appearance of their name in an otherwise impossible context. And that tightness in your chest, that deep spiritual ache, returns with a new, urgent intensity. It's your spirit, your inner knowing, powerfully refuting the doubt, screaming, "No, this isn't over." You know the story is far from finished. And that instinct, that profound feeling, is correct. What you are sensing is not mere delusion. It is not an unhealthy, lingering emotional attachment fueled by loneliness. It is not a romantic fantasy born from a need to escape reality. What you're experiencing is pure spiritual perception. Your spirit is tuning into frequencies and energies that your physical, natural eyes are simply incapable of registering. This is the divine allowing you to feel in the invisible, unseen realm what is about to dramatically manifest in the visible material world. And right now, the divine heart wants to share a specific, direct message with you. My child, this person cannot sustain their facade any longer. I will not permit it. They have tried relentlessly. They have attempted every emotional trick to convince themselves that all feelings for you have evaporated. They've pursued new experiences, sought new faces, and engaged in new conversations, all in a desperate attempt to replace you. They have worked tirelessly to erect emotional walls so immense and fortified that no genuine feeling could possibly penetrate them. But remember this truth. The divine is the architect of existence, and also the great wall breaker. And the elaborate wall they constructed specifically to keep you out is now beginning to disintegrate, piece by piece, crack by jagged crack. Do you want to know the internal state of this person right now? They are experiencing an internal collapse. It's not a destructive, harmful breakdown, but a necessary, overdue one. Think of a massive dam holding back an immense volume of water. The internal pressure has finally become so overwhelming that it is impossible to contain any longer. The raw truth they have desperately tried to suppress is now surging to the surface with an almost terrifying force, a force that actively frightens them. They are waking up in the dead of the night and your name is there, throbbing in their mind with the regularity and insistence of a heartbeat. They try to immerse themselves in work or other activities, and then without warning, without permission, and without any rational explanation, you invade their thoughts. Just take a deep, steady breath right now. They look into the mirror and find themselves disoriented, unable to truly recognize the person they have become in your absence. Because here is the undeniable truth. You were never just another casual relationship in their life. You were, in a spiritual sense, the mirror that clearly reflected the highest, most authentic version of themselves. And now, without you to hold that mirror, they feel fragmented, profoundly incomplete, as if they haven't just lost a person, but an absolutely essential component of their own true identity and purpose. And the all-seeing, all-knowing presence is actively using every single moment of this agonizing internal discomfort to dismantle what must be broken down. Every moment they find themselves missing you and then trying to immediately deny that longing is a moment where the truth is pressed deeper into their innermost heart. Because the designated time has arrived. The season for pretending is unequivocally over. The time for hiding behind distractions has ended. The time for surrender has come. Let me explain a vital principle of divine operation that will radically shift your understanding of every challenge you faced until now. When the divine connects two people in the spirit, and deep down in your soul, you know if this sacred union occurred, it's not a simple joining of two hearts. It is a profound interweaving of destinies. It is a meticulous knitting together of purposes. It creates a connection that is designed to transcend any physical distance, any length of separation, and any human attempt to forcefully sever it. Imagine it like two massive trees planted on opposite edges of a vast canyon. On the surface, they appear completely separate, independent entities, sharing no relationship whatsoever. But deep below the ground, in the darkness where human eyes cannot see, their roots have met. They have wrapped around one another. They share vital nutrients. They mutually sustain each other through storms that neither tree could successfully endure alone. You can violently prune the branches. You can aggressively cut the trunks. But as long as those roots remain connected in the invisible realm, the trees are inextricably linked. That is precisely the reality of your connection. What was divinely connected in the spirit remains bound, even when every single surface-level sign suggests absolute separation and finality. And what is occurring in your life right now, in this very minute, is that the divine is causing a powerful movement of the roots. A subsurface pressure is being created that is so intense that very soon, what has been concealed beneath the surface will begin to visibly sprout above ground. And when this visible manifestation occurs, there will be no possibility of denial. There will be no place left to hide the truth. It will be overwhelmingly evident to both of you and to everyone around you that this was always real. Do you understand why this period of separation was necessary? It was not an act of cruelty. It was a process of high-precision spiritual surgery. It was the divine process of meticulously removing the toxic relational patterns from both of you that would have inevitably destroyed the relationship if you had continued at that specific, unprepared moment. This separation was designed to heal old wounds that you didn't even realize you carried, wounds that would have contaminated something otherwise pure and sacred. It was a time for maturing your individual visions, for breaking down selfishness, and for teaching each of you how to truly love rather than just desperately need one another. And now that essential preparation process is either complete or entering its final, most intense phase. The phase where everything that was worked on invisibly begins its undeniable manifestation in the visible. This is the phase where what appeared to be dead or lost is resurrected. It's like someone who has held their breath underwater for a dangerously long time and now, instinctually, must surface to breathe. Pride or fear are no longer relevant factors. This is a matter of pure emotional survival. They find themselves abruptly stopping in the middle of conversations, realizing they are subconsciously comparing everything and everyone to what they shared with you. The way you genuinely listened, the understanding that required no words, the laughter only you could elicit, the peace that was uniquely felt in your presence, and the conclusion they reach, even as they fight bitterly against it, is universally the same. Nothing else compares. No one else comes close. It was unique. It was real. It was sacred. The divine is actively intensifying their longing. Every distraction they use to try and forget you is being systematically removed. Everything they attempt to build or experience away from you is being revealed as empty, superficial, and fundamentally wrong, because that is the absolute truth. Their destiny wasn't meant to be interwoven with someone else's. It was meant to be with yours. And until they wholeheartedly accept this truth, there will be no peace, no rest, and no internal calm for them. They go to new places, desperately trying to create new memories that exclude you, but they return home feeling even emptier than when they departed. They meet new people, hoping to ignite even a faint spark of what they felt with you. But that spark doesn't come, because the chemistry is different. The soul recognition is absent. It is missing that profound sense of coming home that only you provided. And here is the most powerful and transformative realization they are beginning to have. They are realizing that you are not merely someone they like. You are someone they recognize, and that distinction is everything. Liking is surface level, optional, temporary, and easily changeable. But recognition on a soul level is inevitable, profoundly deep, and eternal. It is the soul's ancient whisper. I knew you before time. I was made to find you, and now that I have found you, nothing else in the world makes authentic sense without you. As you process these powerful truths about soul recognition and inevitable surrender, you might feel a flicker of fear. What if I miss the moment? What if, after all this waiting, I'm not internally prepared to receive and nurture this true love properly? This fear is completely real and valid. Because feeling something shift in the invisible is one thing. Understanding how to cultivate that love when it finally becomes visible, and nurturing it without repeating the old patterns that caused the separation, is another challenge entirely. Thinking precisely of you, the one carrying this intense weight, who feels this unbreakable connection yet also struggles with insecurities about the transition from hidden to visible, I have prepared something truly special. It is a guide, a practical and spiritual roadmap for you to not only mentally and emotionally attract this love that already exists in the unseen realm, but, crucially, to recognize it with absolute clarity and cultivate it with wisdom once it manifests. This resource is waiting for you right now in the very first pinned comment below. Now, let me share a story. Few connect to this theme, but one the divine wants you to absorb. The story of Ruth and Boaz. Ruth was a foreign widow, destitute, without prospects, without an apparent future. Boaz was a highly respected, prosperous man who could have chosen any woman in his community. Yet, when their eyes met in the harvest field, an unseen connection was activated. The Bible doesn't describe simple love at first sight. It describes something far deeper. Boaz noticed her. Among all the workers, he distinctly noticed Ruth. Why? Because the divine had already prepared his heart to recognize the one meant for him. Ruth, for her part, was simply living her life with faithfulness, caring for Naomi and working diligently in the field, utterly unaware that every dedicated step she took was bringing her closer to the man divinely destined for her. And here is the essential chilling part. Boaz was Ruth's redeemer. In their culture, the redeemer had the right and the sacred responsibility to restore what had been lost, to return what was stolen, and to rebuild what had been destroyed. Boaz was not just a romantic partner for Ruth. He was the divine answer to every single thing she had suffered and lost. He was living proof that the divine does not forget, does not abandon, and never leaves a true story unfinished. And the person the divine has confirmed for you, they are also a redeemer, not in the ancient legal sense, but in the sense that this love will restore the parts of you that were broken, return the hope that was stolen, and prove once and for all that you were absolutely right to keep believing. But just as Ruth had to patiently wait for the proper time, the season of harvest, when the fields were perfectly ready, you too are in a very specific season now. The harvest season is beginning. What was planted in tears is now about to be reaped in overwhelming joy. Psalm 126:5 promises, "Those who sow with tears will reap with songs of joy." Every single tear you shed was a seed, and the harvest never, ever fails when the divine is the one tending the field. The divine wants you to pay very close attention to a specific, internal change that is happening now and will only intensify in the coming weeks. You will begin to experience an inner shift that lacks any logical external explanation. It won't be triggered by any outward action from this person. It will be something much deeper, a profound spiritual certainty that will settle into your chest and will not depart. You will wake up one morning, and instead of the usual grip of anxiety or anguish, you will feel an inexplicable peace, a peace that makes no sense given that nothing has outwardly changed, but that your spirit instantly recognizes as the harbinger of the miracle. It's like the moment the air changes before a heavy rain. You can't see the clouds yet, but you feel on your skin that the storm, or in your case the incredible blessing, is imminent. This feeling of peace is not resignation. It is not you giving up or settling for less. It is you finally entering spiritual alignment with what has already been divinely decreed. It is the crucial difference between exhausting yourself trying to swim against a powerful current and finally allowing the river to carry you precisely where it always intended to go. And when you enter this divine flow, everything around you begins to move with a breathtaking speed that will utterly surprise you. This powerful internal change I am describing, this peace that arrives before the visible manifestation, is exactly the type of profound internal preparation we address in that resource I mentioned. Because simply waiting is not enough. You must align internally for the moment of manifestation. It is there, in the first pinned comment, waiting for the person who truly needs that deep, internal wisdom, and continuing on this internal shift, the divine is speaking. When you cease trying to control the how and the when, I will move heaven and earth to make this happen in the perfect way. But while your hands are tight, so take a deep breath and rest. Not the rest of apathy, but the profound, active rest of faith. Live your life to the absolute fullest. Love the divine with total intensity. Care for yourself with genuine tenderness. Pursue your personal dreams with passion. Do all of this, not because you're trying to force yourself to forget this person. You are not. But because you are actively becoming the version of yourself that will be completely ready when they arrive. And they will arrive. Not as a broken person returning to fill a hole in your life, but as a transformed individual coming back to join forces with your renewed self. And when you look at each other again, and you absolutely will, it will not feel like the past. It will be profoundly different, deeper, more mature, more real, because you won't be the same two people who separated. You will be improved versions, healed and prepared by the divine to construct something that is meant to last for all eternity. Proverbs 3:5-6 advises us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him, and he will make your path straight." You do not need to understand everything. You only need to trust the one who truly understands. And he is making your path straight now, removing obstacles, leveling the road, and preparing the way for the ultimate encounter that will change absolutely everything. And Ecclesiastes 3:11 reminds us, "He has made everything beautiful in its time." Not in your urgent, desperate time, not when anxiety demands it, but in his time. The time where every piece fits perfectly, where nothing is lacking or excessive, and where the beauty is complete because the divine himself was the designer. You know, many people miss the fact that this time of waiting isn't just about trusting. It's about learning to recognize and cultivate that true love when it finally manifests. The guide, How to Attract and Recognize True Love, which I prepared with all my heart, addresses precisely this: how to become that healed and prepared version you need to be. It's available in the first pinned comment. Now hear this powerful final confirmation. They cannot hide anymore because the divine will not allow it anymore. The mask is falling. The undeniable truth is surging. The powerful love they tried to smother is exploding from the inside out. And when this process is complete, when the final resistance falls, when the last fear dissolves, when the heart finally surrenders to the inevitable, you will know. You will know. Not because you were desperately looking, but because you were peacefully trusting. And trust attracts the miracle infinitely faster than desperation ever could. Because the divine honors those who honor him. And you honored him by continuing to believe even when every logical indicator suggested giving up. You honored him by maintaining faith when logic demanded you let go. You honored him by waiting on the divine rather than attempting to achieve it with your own strained strength. And this honor will not go unrewarded. Psalm 37:4 is a sacred promise. Take delight in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. Did you truly delight in him? Then prepare yourself, because the divine is about to deliver. Not in the way you meticulously imagined, but better, more complete, more glorious, in a way that, when it unfolds, there will be absolutely no doubt. This was the divine from beginning to end. So, take a final deep breath now. Feel your heartbeat. You are alive. You are here. You endured. You trusted. You waited. And the wait was not in vain. It is never in vain when the divine is involved. He does not waste time. He does not waste tears. He does not waste faith. Everything has a purpose. Everything has a destiny. Everything will fall into place at the perfect moment. They can't hide anymore. The spiritual dam is about to burst. The truth is about to explode into your visible reality. And when that happens, you will look back and be overwhelmingly thankful. Thankful for every day of quiet waiting, for every tearful night of prayer, for every moment you chose to stand in faith against all evidence, because all of it brought you right here. To this moment, to this spectacular manifestation, to this miracle that is mere seconds away from happening in the divine's perfect time. It is happening now. In the invisible realm, it is happening now. And very soon, the invisible will become perfectly visible. And you will witness with your own eyes what your spirit knew all along. The divine never fails, never abandons, never forgets. And what he has promised, he fulfills, always in every way, for all eternity.